Nevada caucuses live updates. Sanders looks strong as votes trickle in. Nevada's caucuses have officially wrapped up. Early results show Senator Bernie Sanders, IVT, with a lead. Though he's not yet declaring victory, Sanders sounded hopeful as he spoke to a crowd in Texas this afternoon. "When I look out at an audience like this and I see the diversity and beauty in this audience," Sanders said, "I have absolute confidence we can create a government based on compassion, based on love and based on truth, not what we have now of greed, corruption, and lies." Though there have been some issues reporting results, the caucuses seem to run smoothly overall. Also competing in the state were former Vice President Joe Biden, former South Bend, IND, Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Elizabeth Warren, D-Minn, Senator Amy Klobuchar, D-Minn, and investor Tom Steyer. Former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg was not contesting Nevada. Sanders fueled by liberals, younger voters, and backers of single-payer health care. See a breakdown of the entrance polls. Nevada is a minority white state. Here's why that matters. Analysis: Democrats are on a perilous course as they seek a nominee to challenge Trump. 2:55 a.m. Volunteers report few technical glitches during caucuses. There were few signs of technological malfunctions during the Nevada caucuses Saturday afternoon. Volunteers observed by Washington Post reporters were able to log into a Google form on iPads owned by the state's Democratic Party and calculate the vote totals with few hiccups. The caucus calculator was able to combine early votes and votes from in-person caucus goers without a hitch. The Democratic Party in this fast-growing western state had initially planned to use a mobile app developed by Shadow, the same company that developed the technology that malfunctioned in the Iowa caucuses. It scrapped that plan after the Iowa debacle, opting to use a customized Google form to help volunteers do complicated caucus math. The caucuses here were made more complex by the addition of early voting. Nevadans could choose between 3 and 5 candidates in early voting, ranking them by preference. Those votes, which took place last weekend and into Tuesday, were then counted and entered into the Google Forms used by volunteers. Nevada's decision to allow early voting appeared to have alleviated some of the overcrowding problems that marred the Nevada caucuses in 2016, when volunteers had trouble signing in large crowds of people. While the Google Forms worked, some voters were frustrated because they didn't understand exactly how it worked. In caucusing, voters stand in the designated areas of the room to show support for their preferred candidate. If a candidate doesn't earn 15% of the total, the candidate is marked non-viable. Voters can then change their vote to support other candidates. Voters in the room Saturday didn't know exactly how to cast their votes, because they didn't know exactly how the early votes would be applied in a second round of voting known as final alignment. In Precinct 7530 at the Thurman White Academy in the suburbs of Las Vegas, some voters felt they had been given inaccurate information before the final alignment, and the precinct decided to have a re-vote for that portion of the process. Despite the confusion, voters in the room remained calm, and the re-vote went down without a hitch. "You're definitely handling this really well. We really appreciate it," one of the voters told a volunteer. Nevada GOP unanimously awards Trump its 25 delegates. As the results from the Democratic caucus trickled in, Nevada's Republican Party voted unanimously to give all of its delegates to President Trump. The state party opted against holding caucuses, which isn't unusual when the party has the incumbent in the White House. At the same meeting, a GOP committee voted to censure Senator Mitt Romney, R. Utah, for his vote in the president's impeachment trial to remove Trump from office. Nevada State Party releases its first results. The state party released its first set of results. With 28 precincts reporting about 1% of the total, Sanders has a lead. The Vermont senator has amassed 22 county delegates. Warren has earned 14 county delegates. Biden has 13 county delegates, as does Buttigieg. Klobuchar has 7, and Steyer has 5. Gabbard has no county delegates. By Washington Post staff. AD. Anyone for Joe, a small precinct votes. Las Vegas caucusing at the East Las Vegas Community Center started late, but without incident, as voters from the heavily Latino part of the city found their precincts. Some precincts attracted dozens of voters, while precinct 4543 had just 14. Anyone for Joe? Asked Robert Conway, 59, looking around the small group. No. I'm a lone soldier. Conway, an iron worker who said he agreed with Biden's opposition to Medicare for All, made up the entire Biden contingent in his corner. 12 voters, mostly Latino, supported Sanders, while 2 backed Warren. In precinct 4543, that meant that Sanders grabbed every delegate, after his dominant early vote total was added in. As in other precincts, Warren performed more strongly Saturday than she had during the early vote, when she'd gotten just 1 vote. In other parts of the room, that mattered, Warren and Biden were the only candidates who picked up delegates, with most of Biden's support coming from the early vote. But Sanders had an extra advantage: passionate supporters who helped pull voters to his side. Daniel Lopez, 20, came to the caucus undecided and sat for the 15-minute realignment period, hearing arguments from both Warren and Sanders supporters. In the end, he went with Sanders. My question was, which of those candidates can bring more people in? Lopez explained. Who can get people to switch sides, or who can get people who don't know everything about the issues to vote? I didn't feel like I heard a good argument that Warren could do that. Early returns show Sanders gaining from viability threshold process. Early vote returns suggest Sanders is gaining the most during the important viability stage of Nevada caucus precincts, in which only candidates with a certain threshold of support in the initial vote tally are eligible to receive county convention delegates. In an independent partial vote count by Edison Media Research of roughly 9% of precincts, Sanders gained 7 percentage points from the initial vote preference to final vote preference among viable candidates, increasing from 35% to 42%. Biden gained 2 percentage points when voters realigned with viable candidates, while Buttigieg went up 1 point. Klobuchar and Warren each lost 2 percentage points in support after realignment, while Steyer lost 5 points.